It's Jeff's birthday, so I'm making his favorite dish. So I know that sounds like I'm a garden, but I'm actually married to a guy named Jeff. And this is his birthday on Valentine's Day. And every year I make the same thing for his birthday, which is one of his favorite dishes that he's been eating since he was a child. Eats it. It's like one of his absolute favorite meals. It is stuffed grape leaves. It is a traditional Lebanese dish. Sometimes I make kibbeh with it, but I'm only making grape leaves this year. I thought I would share it with you because these are so delicious and it's not something that you commonly see. However, there are more restaurants that are popping up that are Lebanese or Mediterranean that will serve these. In DC, there's a bunch of really great restaurants. There's a Mexican Lebanese restaurant called Vera. There is a really great restaurant right now called Albi. And then there's also this restaurant called Elili. And that is an outpost of a New York City restaurant that we used to go to back when we were dating. It was actually one of our table names at our wedding. Anyway, if you haven't had Lebanese food, it is really delicious. It is just so flavorful, but it is very time intensive. Like, we're talking about a lot of old world dishes. You are just, it is a labor of love. My Jeff, his love language, besides words of praise, is like, he is the guy who, like, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Because it takes so much time and because it is his favorite dish, I'm making it. I will say, it is a snow day right before his birthday and I plan to film this, but the kids are home and the dog is barking and there's snow everywhere, just like falling down. So we may have some distractions or we may have some help, but let's see. All right, let's go make some grape leaves. Before we get started, I thought I would give some caveats about this dish. First of all, I am obviously not Lebanese. I am not the authority. This is just somebody who has been eating, consuming, making this food for quite some time. I've been married to Jeff for over 15 years and we've been dating before then. So plus 20 years of eating this dish and being around people who make it. That said, I do have some cookbooks. You can find some cookbooks. I mean, I literally also have like old hand-me-downs, but this one is probably the closest that is easy and the most recent. Like, this was actually, like, this has a foreword from Jose Andres, and this is like Forever Beirut, recipes and stories from the heart of Lebanon. Like, these have been gotten at like Lebanese festivals. Some of them are really old. Like, I literally have cookbooks, like recipes that look like this. That said, I usually use as guides. I just kind of make it myself. And the reason I do that is because as we've been making this and eating it so much, we have somewhat some variations on it. One thing is that I started incorporating lots of lemon zest. We like lots of lemon flavor, so we go very heavy on the lemons. Secondly, I'm gonna incorporate some things that Jeff likes, which you can or cannot do, but you're welcome to follow these to a T. Another thing is that a lot of cultures, a lot of Mediterranean cultures have stuffed grape leaves or some type of variation of this. I think a lot of people think of dolmas or like the stuffed Greek ones. And those ones, they do not have meat in it. The Lebanese, they like their meat, so I'll be making this with lamb. And then also, so some people make lamb, some people don't use meat. If you don't like lamb or you don't want to use lamb and you want to use ground beef, definitely that's going to work. I almost had to do that because I went to the grocery store again while a snowstorm was about to hit and everything is about to be wiped out. But thankfully I went to the butcher and they had some in the back. So we have some lamb. I'm trying to find the actual recipe in here. Yes, I have a lot of kibbeh recipes, which is also really good and goes really well with this. So here we go, stuffed grape leaves. Yeah, this is stuffed grape leaves with meat. This says that in Lebanon, we make this in late spring and early summer when fresh grape leaves are healthy, tender, unblemished, and in abundance. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a couple of tips on grape leaves after we get into that. There's many different variations of this dish from country to country, even household to household, often served as a meze. So we sometimes eat it as dinner, but if you go to a restaurant, a lot of people will serve it as meze. I grew up eating kind of Polish food and Irish food, which is not, again, the forefront of Thai cuisine. I say that because I grew up eating stuffed cabbage. I'm just thinking about like, okay, so obviously my kids eat this because it is just part of their life. Like they go to their grandmother's house, they go to parties, we eat this all the time. They are not that great at rolling it, but they're getting better. I did eat some type of stuffed cabbage. This is way better and way more flavorful, just in my personal opinion. Don't come at me in the comments if you're Polish and you love stuffed cabbage. We do serve this at parties. We have had like Middle Eastern parties. It's where we serve a very kind of Middle Eastern Lebanese dinner, and you'll be surprised by how many people eat it. And my husband grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and these are always at our parties, and there's obviously a lot of people who aren't Lebanese there, but there actually are a good contingent. You'll see people eat these grape leaves at parties, so they are really delicious. Let's just go into the grape leaf aspect before we start kind of mixing everything together. Okay, one of the hardest things to find in this dish is the actual grape leaves themselves. My mother-in-law, she actually has a nice little pipeline where people give her like grape leaves that are growing on vines around their house or around their neighborhood. One day we'll get a grape leaf vine and we'll have it out in the Eastern Shore at our house there. But in the meantime, I'm going to be using these. I've used these before, and these are California grape leaves. I just got these on Amazon. So if you have the idea to make this dish, you can get it a few days before. Sometimes you can find a jar of grape leaves in like if you're at a Wegmans or something, like in like an international aisle, like maybe by like Mediterranean food or the Greek food or the olives and whatnot, but they are not easy to come by. So I feel like there used to be more grocery stores that are selling it, and there's less and less, but you can definitely get this on Amazon, and that's where I got this one. All right, let's get the ingredients going. Okay, so I'm gonna take my ring off because our hands are gonna get dirty. We're gonna roll up our sleeves. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of work. It's very manually intensive, like I said. When you have grape leaves, I actually just found this other one. I feel like sometimes we just pick up ones from a specialty store, but from Greece. So these are Greek and these are California. Now, I find a lot of times, and I get the ones in the jar kind of really, really tough. These need to be a little bit softer. So I usually boil them. Okay, so I'm gonna fill this up with water. All right, so I'm gonna start boiling this, and let's get some of the ingredients of these bowls. And I'm also going to put my hair back because I just feel like it's all over the place. Okay, so I have my onion. So we have some lamb. So these are 1 pound each. So I have 3 pounds of lamb. I'm gonna chop up this onion. I'm actually gonna put it in the food processor because I don't like when there's big chunks of it. Now, this is a little extra, super extra. These are bone-in lamb chops. Again, this is just an extra like chef's kiss on it. When you create your like rows and rows of grape leaves, you then can like add these on top along with lemon slices, so then all the flavors kind of drop down and whatnot, and then you can eat this afterwards. I went to Whole Foods and they did not have the packs of meats. I started getting really nervous and I was about to use beef instead of lamb. I was at the butcher counter. This lovely lady went back in the back and she found it, and while I was doing that, I was staring at these little bone-in lamb, and I figured it's his birthday, so why not be a little extra, but I have that as well. This may sound controversial. Actually, 2 things are controversial, so I'm gonna get them out of the way. I'm gonna completely Americanize this. This has just been through trial and error, but in the beginning, we used to make it all the time with regular rice. So you cook the rice, sometimes you cook it, or you wouldn't have to cook it the whole way through because you put a lot of juice in and then the rice cooks while it's in the oven. One way of doing it. To be completely honest, one time we didn't have enough rice and we've had these frozen bags of brown rice. I think traditionally you should make it with white rice, but we like brown rice. And again, oh hi, these guys are home. Hi. Okay, so we're using frozen rice. I know it's a total cheat, it's a total hack, but that's what we're gonna do. Additionally, you can use tomatoes in your grape leaves. I don't like tomatoes in my grape leaves, but Jeff likes sun-dried tomatoes. I definitely do not like sun-dried tomatoes, but we will create a little batch because that is his favorite and it's his birthday. Next, onions. I am going to add this to the food processor. This I think the only cutting you have to do. So much. I feel like during that whole soup series that I did, all I was doing was like crying, cutting onions. So I'm not going to mess around with that in this series. But definitely check it out if you're looking for some soup. Jeff is actually on a work trip right now. And maybe when he comes home, these will be done. Again, depending on how much I get done with the kids. But I am really happy about this because, so I have been rebranding my channel. Oh gosh, I'm gonna start crying. Not because of anything emotional, but because of this. And I said in my rebrand video that I'm going to start doing things that are actually part of my life to make my life easier and to share like authentically me. And so I actually am killing two birds with one stone because I had to do this at some point. Not that I don't mind doing it. I love it. I love eating it. It's his birthday. He's a great guy. He deserves it. The kids love it. But, whew. Okay. Let me stop crying first. All right, let's get this going. I'm gonna cry while these cut. Mommy's crying. Mommy crying? There we go, that's way better. All right, so we have our chopped up onions now. Actually going to be making these for his birthday weekend because this weekend we are actually going to go to our place on the Eastern Shore, which we haven't been in a while. We go a lot during the spring and the summer and the fall, but obviously like the holidays and everything gets crazy. And it's also just very cold. Just some of these onions because I feel like they're gonna, all right. Woo! Gosh, I wanna make one of these videos where I'm not like tearing up. All right, we'll get my compost going. Big mess here. Jeff's family is supposed to be coming. Some of his, I think his sister, maybe some nieces. And the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. So everyone is kind of on a high and really excited. But the parade is the same day. So yeah, a lot going on. I mentioned his birthday is on Valentine's Day, which means that our Valentine's Day are mostly his birthday. So I was saying that because we're probably gonna enjoy these over the weekend. I mean, his family's going to love this. My nieces are gonna eat this. So it's like a good way that I can feed a lot of people. We may actually go out, which we never do, to this fun restaurant in Easton. All right, I think the water is boiling, so I'm gonna start adding some of the grape leaves to it to soften them up. The next pro tip is extracting some of these grape leaves out. It is not as easy because these are very, very delicate. So sometimes you can work it. Oh. All right, I'm really trying to do my best. This isn't great. Sometimes you have to work it so they're wrapped up around each other. So you will get, okay, here we go. So, here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, that's good enough. And then when you get one out, it's a lot easier for the others. This guy, I feel like these guys are, they jam pack it. It's amazing. All right, a cow. No. It's like you have to kind of play around. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I think I got it. The drama. Now, after watching, if you watch this whole video, you're gonna see why taking shortcuts like your own rice is really necessary because you're gonna be doing a lot of work. We're gonna soften these. I think I'm just going to also just turn the heat off because it's already just hot and boiling. And then just let that soften. We're gonna leave that there. We need all the spices. Okay. Time for the spices. Ah. Shoot. No. Okay, I'm gonna add some of this garlic. Jeff also likes it really salty. I don't like that much salt, and I always feel like he can add more. Plus, we're gonna add salt to the top and some pepper, basic. Now, I just dropped that nutmeg, so that went in there. I'm gonna put a little bit more nutmeg, and then I like lots of cinnamon, so I'll put lots of cinnamon. Just completely coat it, and we got allspice. Now, allspice, you buy it. I know this sounds really confusing, and it talks about in this book. Allspice is like a berry. I think it's a berry. It's not like a mixture of things, but I always feel like this one's the hardest to find. And then cumin. Traditional Lebanese ladies will call it kamoon. I think my mother-in-law calls it kamoon, but I call it cumin. Okay, just like lots of spice, like where you think it's a little bit overwhelming, like it's an entire like Middle Eastern bazaar spice. And then crushed mint. If you have fresh mint, all the better, but we're gonna do a little crushed mint. And you really start to smell everything. Now, this is my piece, lemon zest. So I'm gonna use a zester. Okay. All right, so lots of lemon zest. Again, like this is going to be covered in lemon juice. We're gonna put some lemons on the top. I like a zest. I like it zippy. What can I say? As I mentioned, the controversial ingredient. I know one of these books says tomatoes. I think maybe one of them says peppers. Never done that. Well, I haven't done it. Maybe Jeff's done it. But again, we're going to add a little bit of chopped sun-dried tomatoes in it, but not too much. And we're just going to make a few. That's going to be his special sun-dried tomatoes. So with this, then we're going to add the rice. Now, sometimes it's really hard to tell how, like, to get your ratios right of your grape leaves to your mixture. And for us, so another thing that we eat is, it's called, I don't know if there's like an actual like Lebanese or Middle Eastern name for it, but it's just basically like lamb, and it's like lamb, all these spices, and rice. My kids call it grandma special rice, because obviously the grandmother makes it a lot. It's like on Thanksgiving, it's all the time. We use it a lot. So if I have any extra mixture, I'll make that, and then you toast some pine nuts, and it's amazing. But if you have any extra grape leaves, you can definitely like make rolled grape leaves with flat grape leaves just to give it more of that flavor. Okay, let's add some rice. And then my friends, it's almost going to, I wanted to cook this beforehand. I didn't want it to be frozen. We're gonna cook it. I am going to heat up some more in the microwave, which I'm doing right now behind me. It's not just freezing cold on my hands. Now, there we go. Meantime, I'm gonna start slicing up some lemons while this rice cooks more. Rice to meat mixture is usually like a 1-to-1. As we are using bagged rice, it's kind of like eyeballing it. I would also say that if you're trying to make more filling, or you're hesitant about the lamb and you wanna make it more rice based, you can go heavy up on the rice. You wanna make it really, really meaty, you can do that. I would just caution, because a lot of times it's really good if you have a lot of rice to kind of soak up the juice and the fat in the lamb. So yeah, now we're almost there. We're almost at like the worst part, the hard part. I'm already thinking about what type of angle and how it's going to be to actually film making these grape leaves. I've been practicing for years. Again, it's not like I do this every week, but I have done this quite some time, and it just takes getting the reps in. However, you don't have to be perfect. You can definitely have some really sloppy grape leaves. This is not like an aesthetic dish. So, all right, let's get some hot. All right, we got some steam in this. Maybe I'll let that. In the meantime, I'm going to get my grape leaves out of the boiling water or the hot water, just start to get them ready and then start prepping my station, because you need to create a little station where, you know, find like a big area. I guess I could try to do it here. Usually I try to sit down because it takes so long, but maybe I'll do it here so that you guys can get a better view. So what you have to do is create a station where you're going to have your grape leaves, you're going to have your mixture, and then you're going to have a very large pan or pot that you're going to cook this in. Definitely like you want something deep because we're going to stack these up. I'll show you what I use. So this is what we used. You could definitely do it in like a deeper dish, but I start off here because usually we make so many grape leaves that it's good to have that much in. Okay, do you guys want to help me make grape leaves?
Yeah.
Now we have to mix it by hand. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to help me? Do you want to get like an overhead shot? Can I put you to work?
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to mix this by hand. Have you done this before?
Yeah, but it's gross.
Why is it so gross? The texture?
Yeah.
Next piece, we have our grape leaves. Then we have our stuffing. I'm gonna do Jeff's stuffing last. Then we are going to put it on this side. So the grape leaves, you'll feel that some of them look really great. Some of them are gonna be a lot smaller. This is the next part where you have to, so this is the vein side. You're gonna put the vein side inside. Okay, that's where your meat is going to go. If there's an extra stem, you want to get rid of that extra stem. Just put it to the side. Okay, we got a dog and a kid on the side. We'll see how this goes. Okay, let me move this over so that everyone can see. All right. So I'll do one, and then we'll get some close-up shots from my handy cameraman over there that's eating pasta.
I'm not a man.
For my handy camera woman. I'm gonna get a little kind of fist size. It depends on the grape leaf. Obviously, if you have a huge grape leaf, you can go a little bit bigger, but you're just going to make it a little bit like this size. And then you're gonna put it at the base where the vein is. And then you take one up, and then you take the other, and then you have to do like a little bit of a tuck. Okay, so then you tuck it, and then you take one side in, you take the other side in. I'm gonna try. We need like a closer shot, right? And then we are
Done.
wrapped. Okay, first grape leaf, done. All right, let me try to do another one, and then we'll get another angle. Do you know that on our honeymoon, we were in Turkey? And in Turkey, I can't remember how much different they make it, but they make it really, really thin, kind of like a pencil. And they had this machine. It was a grape leaf rolling machine where you could just like put the grape leaf something, and then you cranked this thing, and then you would roll it. Okay, so get the two sides, get it nice and tight, pack it in. These are really good, whatever grape leaves. I have two types of grape leaves, and these are pretty good. Okay, can you see my head? All right, we're gonna keep on making these. Maybe you'll help me, and we'll come back as we go through all the meat and pile up the grape leaves. Now that took about 40 minutes for me to get this much done. Okay, sprinkle a little salt on the top, and then I'm going to take all my cut up lemons and put them on top, and then okay, I'm also going to squeeze a little lemon juice. I am in such a rush right now because we're trying to do stuff. I have to take one of them to tennis practice because that is still going on. The oven is set to 375. I am going to cook these a little bit. So I just have the lemons on this. I am going to add the meat. The other thing is that Jeff actually likes them really crispy. So kind of not like a charring, but a little bit, a little bit of coloration, like you almost forgot about it. But again, we are not going to be eating these tonight. Jeff, I don't think he's getting back from his work trip until 9. So I can imagine he probably sneaks a few of these, but this is not dinner tonight. So I am going to, after I cook it, just so that I don't have raw meat around, I am going to put these in the refrigerator. And I think I actually got this done in time. I mean, the kitchen behind me is a disaster. And my mother-in-law, she makes pans and sheets of this, cooks them and then freezes them and then whips them out when there's a big group. And now we are all ready to go. Let's put this in the oven.